Okay, so what's up, everybody? This is Ruben Garcia, and this is a beautiful day. And today on the Proven by Ruben podcast, we have Bill Claydon. Hey, Bill Claydon, how are you?
Hi.
You doing good?
Yeah, doing good. Thank you.
Awesome. So if you could, tell everyone who you are, what you do, how you do it, and all that good jazz.
Well, I'm Bill Claydon, as you just said, and I'm have a business here in town, Tattoo World.
Okay.
Been here since '86.
Whoa. So, yeah. So, talk to me about the first time you picked up a tattoo gun. How did that feel?
Well, for starters, it's called a machine.
Okay.
It's a tattoo machine.
Tattoo machine.
Us in the trade, we don't like the term gun.
Oh, okay.
But we don't relate to it. Let's put it that way.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I started watching my father at 5 years old. I was raised, for the most part, over a tattoo shop. And by the time I was 13, I asked him if I could put a tattoo on.
Oh, cool.
So I put one on him, put one on his friend, and then a gentleman came in the shop that same day and wanted $100 worth of tattoo work. Back then it was quite a bit.
Yeah.
This is 1961.
Okay.
That we're in right now. And so my father said, well, I'll have my son, I can give you my son to do this for you, and he'll work on you all night for $50. So I don't know how the guy felt when he woke up in the morning, but that was my first actual day of tattooing. And after that, me getting a tattoo to do a customer, it was hard because I was so young.
Right.
And but by the time I guess I was 15, I had it down pretty good.
Yeah.
And
what was that first tattoo that you gave when that guy came in? What was it?
Well, I don't know about him. I remember putting a cowgirl on his leg.
Oh, okay.
But he had me doing all kinds of stuff. But the very first tattoo was a small rose, maybe the size of a $50.
Yeah.
And the second one on my father was a little bulldog's face with a cigar. And and I impressed him, I guess.
Yeah. So at 16, you started getting a little bit better with the tattoos. Correct?
Yes. Well, yes.
Yeah.
I was doing okay.
Yeah.
For back then, I think if you could tattoo, you could put a nice line down and you could do the shading. We didn't do a lot of coloring.
Right.
There's a few colors, red and green, and were the main colors.
Yeah.
We didn't have all these exotic colors back then that we have now.
Just you didn't have them available, or it's just
exactly they weren't available.
Gotcha.
That I knew.
Right. Okay.
I remember when we got blue ink. We all had to try it on ourselves to see if there was a little reaction to it.
Oh, really?
But it all came out good.
Oh, okay, good. You were getting a little, you although there was only a few colors and black and white seemed like, or the black and gray seemed like the thing. When did you start knowing that this could be?
Well, I guess I did because I had done. Well, I worked for my father from 61 to 66.
And where was he? Was he
Oceanside, California.
Oceanside, California.
Right next to Camp Pendleton.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, a Marine Corps base.
Gotcha. You knew that this would be your thing? Or did you...
It was just the way I was raised.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I was just, I couldn't take my eyes off of it. That was right there. And I tattooed a few schoolmates. Their parents didn't like me too much.
Oh, man. What were the tattoos that you were...
I just was out in California, and I just saw a friend that I went to school with that I did a little spider on his leg, and then I did a little hot stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah. On his shoulder. Those are the only 2 tattoos he has.
Yeah?
To this day. Yeah,
wow.
And he's same age as me.
How'd they look? How'd the tattoos look today?
Old.
Oh. Yeah.
He gets a lot of sun being in Southern California.
Oh, yeah,
so
true. Yeah.
He was a surfer, so they kind of taken their toll, but they're still recognizable.
Yeah. That's interesting. I guess you have to think about stuff like that depending on where you're at and how much your skin's getting beat up by the sun.
Yes, exactly.
Huh. Interesting. I guess I never thought about it that way.
If you now get a tattoo, and they're not so cheap anymore.
Right.
But if you get one, your best bet is to keep sunblock on it. Now, I don't get in the sun.
Yeah.
But I put sunblock on my forearms. I spray it on every morning before I leave the house.
Gotcha.
And that's the only thing that gets in the sun. So the tattoo still will fade somewhat.
Right.
The lines will spread a little bit.
Yeah.
And but I know I know this one guy that he's my age, maybe a couple years older, and his tattoos, he stopped getting them like in probably in the 70s.
Right.
But he wears a long sleeve shirt all the time. They look just as good as the day he got them.
Oh, man.
So, and he got most of his stuff from Ed Hardy, so it all looks good.
Yeah. So have you ever, now that you mentioned Ed Hardy, have you ever met him, talked to him, in the conversation? Did you ever fight him? Oh, got this tattoo.
This is Hardy.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've got a whole bunch of his work.
How did you guys connect?
Me wanting to get tattooed. He was in San Diego. I'm in Oceanside, 35 miles apart.
Yeah.
He was started in the early 70s. And I was already there. And he told me a story that he came up to Oceanside, came into my... It was a great place for a kid to grow up in. It was an arcade. So the little tattoo shop was in the back, no bigger than this room. 3 of us worked in it.
Whoa.
And the ceilings were higher. And it was a little more open because then there was a little hamburger and beer little bar.
Yeah.
When you came through the door, they had these old girly machines where they would come down, because back then nudity wasn't in the magazines, so they would go down to their bra and panties. And for a dime, you could see it in black and white. For a quarter, it was color.
Huh.
And that was the first thing and then there was a pool table, and then there was all these pinball machines. And then on the other side, there was balloons on a wooden wall that you would throw this small bayonet.
Huh.
And it's like a carnival type atmosphere.
Yeah.
I think it was a BB gun, I'm not sure, shooting out the little red dot.
Yeah.
And there was a pawn shop, walk through a pawn shop. It was a cool place to grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have that have you ever thought about putting that in your tattoo shop?
I had always wanted to
I bet
reproduce that, something like that. And,
yeah.
But it just never happened. But it was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. So because obviously you have a tattoo shop here in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Yes.
And everyone knows it. And didn't you get an award for the most famous person in Fayetteville?
I haven't got the award yet,
No?
but I was elected that.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that was very flattering.
Yeah.
I'm
What a cool moment.
Yeah. It was a cool moment. I didn't know. She just, from the magazine, came in and told me. And they were supposed to have a dinner, which I was out in California, but they didn't have the dinner because of the hurricane that came through. So I still haven't received the award yet.
We're going to have to go get it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. We need that award. If you're listening, bring that award. Yeah, so when did you start? Yeah.
Just some gum. I mean, a piece of paper. I got some gum in my mouth, and
And
I need to.
So Bill's spitting out some gum. But yeah, so when did you when did it start turning into a business for you? Because you have the brick and mortar down closer to the gate.
Well, okay, so it was the 60s, Southern California.
Okay.
The hippies.
The hippies.
Yeah, drugs. Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
And I got kind of caught up in that for a few years.
Okay.
Still tattooed.
Yes.
Had a portable kit.
Oh, gotcha.
Went everywhere with it.
Yeah.
But
during that time, what was the most tattoo you were giving people? So hippies, drugs, rock and roll.
No, that was just that wasn't. I didn't even do it for money then. It was just.
Yeah.
And, actually, I remember. Well, not going forward, but. I remember one time, and this was 1980, where I lived in Florida. I told everybody in the neighborhood, come and get a tattoo. What if you want something, we'll put it on you. And but going back to the 60s, it wasn't. I wasn't doing it on a regular basis for a few years.
Yeah.
And then in 1972, I left. I left Oceanside, and kind of wasn't going anywhere with my life. Never thought that actually making a living tattooing back then, that I could actually do that.
Right.
almost everybody that I knew had a day job. Yeah. And my father did. He drove a truck for 40 years and tattooed at night. He drove a cement truck. So, but there was a few lucky ones that did stay in a shop the whole time.
Right.
And I went to Seattle, got a job on a fishing boat. A month and a half later, we sailed to Alaska, to the Aleutian Islands. Did a little fishing, 8 days, and then the skipper replaced me. I found out at that point I was more of a landlubber.
Me too.
Yeah. And so, and then by 73, so I'm still in Alaska, and I went to work on the Alaska pipeline.
Wow.
Off and on till 80. Tattooed in Prudhoe Bay, which is a mile from the Arctic Ocean.
Gotcha.
So, but I was working, tattooing. I was doing the pipeline work and tattooing in the evening.
Yeah.
On various people. And again, it wasn't really for money. I did get paid a little bit, but it wasn't for that.
Sure.
Just for the love of it.
Yeah. And you did that for a little while?
I worked off and on 5 years.
Gotcha.
On the pipeline. And then 76, I got married. And a whole new life. But I was still going back to work on the pipeline while I was married. So
gotcha.
Anyway.
Where were you living? Still in California? Or?
No.
Yeah.
I met her in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
But then we lived for a while on Cape Cod. And I liked it there.
Yeah,
it was nice.
Yeah.
And then I would work there. I remember working for an older man putting up overhead garage doors, $4 an hour. But it was good work. I was getting a little unemployment from the pipeline, and you didn't need much.
Right.
I guess I didn't require much back then anyway.
Yeah. So what did you do after that?
Marriage.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah. So, raised 2 kids, and
when did you
opened the shop here?
Yeah.
In 1986.
Okay.
So, I had a shop in Fort Lauderdale, and I really didn't care for it too much down there. It was hot all the time. The weather wasn't
right,
and it would take an hour to drive 10 minutes or 10 miles.
Right.
And anyway, I wanted to get out of that environment.
Yeah.
So Lou Scabaris had a tattoo shop here down on Hay Street, right where the police station is now.
Right.
And
he had his tattoo shop.
Yeah,
the police station.
Yeah, and actually, I have a picture on my phone. I just got somebody found it for me exactly where it was before the police station and the revamping of downtown.
Whoa, cool.
And so we moved here, and then Rick's Lounge was right next door. Very famous bar, and it burned up.
Oh man.
So I was right next door.
Yeah.
So I didn't get any damage, only smoke damage, but it changed all of downtown at that point.
Really?
Well, because the bar, I moved out.
Okay.
And I went up to the boulevard. And
so it slowed down the traffic downtown after it burnt down?
Well, yes, and it was it's like a dead zone, you know. It just it wasn't the same.
Gotcha.
So and I didn't mind moving because, and I was probably gonna, because it wasn't the environment that you would take your kids or your wife.
Gotcha.
You know, it was kind of a rough environment.
What's one of the craziest stories you think about when you think about that bar and that tattoo shop? Well,
I was only there for 4 months,
even in
before it burned up.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that I have any memories. It was pretty wild, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And I did, even when I bought the shop from Lou, I had all intentions on moving it after I got name in town.
Right.
There was only one other shop here. It was Skin Fantasies, and so for some years we were the only two shops in town. And I moved up onto the boulevard and started getting a name for myself. Hell, I remember I had call forwarding. So if somebody came to the shop or they called the shop, it would go forward to my house. And so, I mean, for a $20 name, I would wind up coming from home, coming up there. Sometimes they wouldn't be there.
Oh.
So, but other times they would be. So I did the most I could possibly do to get my name out there.
Right.
And worked hard.
Yeah.
And then I was in one location for about a year, and then moved to another location on the same on the boulevard, and was there for about 5 years. So now I had 2 employees. 2 people that worked with me, and I was getting a good name at that point.
Okay.
But now you have to remember there's still only 2 or 3 shops in town, and
now, did you guys, since there was only 2 to 3 shops, did you guys ever meet and talk about?
Well, when it was just 2 of us, I remember, yes, I used to go down and play pool after work, you know, but we both had families, so you know how that goes. You go to work and then you usually go home.
Right.
But I was staying at work till midnight. And a lot of times it would be slow, and I would want to leave at like 11.
Yeah.
And my wife at the time would tell me, "Stay there. You stay, keep your hours." And then at 11:45 or something would come in, and I'd be there till 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
But that was the way you had to take it. Do it when it was there, and not say, "Well, I'm going home now," and be that independent, because otherwise you just, it's just not the way you do business, I think.
Right.
I mean, it's fine after you've made a name for yourself to be a little more independent.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you work hard for yourself.
Yeah.
It's not like working for somebody else. You can leave work and you don't think about it anymore. But when it's your business, it's on your mind 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So, then in 92, I purchased the tattoo shop that I'm in now. And still, even then, I think there was 3, maybe 4 of us in town. So it wasn't too bad.
Wow.
And we all got along.
Yeah.
We got along okay. There was a little drama from one of the shops, but
they're no longer here.
No.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Well, they were yeah. So, but it was all good. I started and I worked really hard. So I guess I skipped a little bit forward because when I was over on the boulevard, Desert Shield. So when it was just kind of a police action over there in the desert.
Yeah.
And then I had both the artists there working with me, but then it started slowing up. Desert Storm came along, and it started slowing up. So I told them, they left, and I just worked by myself.
Yeah.
And it was okay. And then when the troops came back, they both came back in with me, and we were just too busy at that point.
Yeah. So on the boulevard, you mentioned that if somebody called, you showed up, and there were late nights, and you stayed because it was your business. Did you ever tell yourself, like, I can't do this anymore?
No, I was young, and I knew what I had to do, and I enjoyed what I was doing.
Yeah,
so
that's important.
And yeah, I was lucky.
Yeah,
I was lucky, really lucky, and no, that never entered my mind that it was too much. Awesome. It might have for my wife. She complained a lot about that, but I just didn't know anything else. I worked and did the best I could.
Yeah.
And I think that the customers appreciated that.
Sure. Do you remember any specific stories from the customers of, you stayed late with them and they talked to you about something, maybe even specific about the tattoo, but is there any stories that stick out to you?
No, not that I can think of right now. And one thing, when you have somebody in your chair for a few hours at a time, you find out, I do. I talk, I like, and it's good for the customer, makes the time pass.
Yeah.
And so I share my life, and they wind up sharing their life.
Yeah.
And but nothing that I recall right now. I guess if you would have asked me these questions, so I would have been able to think about them beforehand.
Yeah.
I remember one time I'm tattooing this guy, and this has probably happened to most tattoo artists. And you're busy, and so I'm shaking up an ink bottle of yellow, And I'm not paying any attention, and I'm just shaking it up and talking. And I was lucky the guy was in his work clothes, because the top was open.
Oh.
And it was going all over him. There was yellow ink all over him, and we just laughed about it though. That was cool. He was really a good sport about it.
Yeah.
And that's happened a few times.
I'm sure. For how long you've been doing it. I'm sure
I think
that's
the
happened.
worst thing for any tattooer, and it happens, we're all kind of, we're human, is misspelling a name.
Mm.
Now that doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
It hadn't happened in years, but yeah, that just made your heart drop.
Oh, I'm sure.
But everybody that I know, it's happened to.
Oh man.
Yeah, and you hopefully you can fix it, cover it up.
Yeah.
I mean, the customer just has to. I mean, they don't get mad. I never had them get mad, but they kind of, they've been good sport about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do if you're the customer, but you have to trust your tattoo artist, and so, but we don't. That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Whew.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So you got that spot that you're in now.
Yes.
And then how many people did you have going in?
I had so I built the shop. 1, 2, 3. I had 3. I had 3, maybe 4 booths, and so I had, I think, 3 artists.
Mm.
And a guy was supposed to come to work, but he missed the health department class. So back then, you could only get a license, I think it was 4 times a year, quarterly.
Hmm.
And so you had to do a sanitation sterilization course, which was a 3-day course. Not all day long, but maybe an hour each day, something like that.
Yeah. And
then you take a written test on it. And then you go up in front of a tattoo review board, which consisted of the health department director, doctor, and the health inspector, a police officer that checked your criminal record, if any. And I don't know why, because they couldn't refuse somebody a license because of that.
Right.
And that did happen, where they refused somebody and then that person got a lawyer, and anyway, so they don't have that anymore. So, and then you passed the test, you passed the tattoo review board, and you got your license.
Yeah.
But it was good because of this sterilization sanitation course. So you learned something there, and
right.
and they gave you they came in and give you a health grade. So you had to, the health department pretty much runs the daily, they make the rules.
Sure.
So
do you ever keep up with those 3 to 4 artists that you started with? Keep up with them?
Okay, so yes. One has passed away. One still works for me.
Oh, really?
Jason Bullington. Been with me over 25 years, probably
Wow.
30 years now. And yeah, he's a survivor.
Yeah.
And he does beautiful work, and he's gotten better. He tries hard, and so
Did he? Where did he?
he started at Skin Fantasies, I think.
Oh. You recruited him from Skin Fan?
No. I didn't. No,
Yeah.
he came to me.
Yeah.
And it was right after I opened in 92. So him and a friend of his came, and I had both of them working for me. So but I didn't recruit him. I did get, over the years, I did get quite a few people from Skin Fantasies that would come to me for the job. And to tell you the truth, I used to, and I don't know if I should say this, but when somebody wasn't good enough to work for me, I would tell them to go get some experience at Skin Fantasies. So, and I mean, I hope we can all laugh about that.
Yeah.
I tried to, I never thought of myself as being the best or anything. I just tried and instilled that with the artists that work for me. Do your best.
Yeah.
If I hire you, then I already know you can do good work.
Right.
But do it every single time. Don't tell me you're having a bad day and the customer has to pay for it.
Right.
I didn't kind of go for that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a boss. I was really easy to work with. And that's the way I viewed it, as these were just other artists. We were all working together.
Right.
And, I mean, Jason's still with me, so.
Yeah.
He painted me this picture. I still have it in my booth. And on the back, he wrote, "Thanks for the inspiration." And that always was pretty cool.
Yeah. Was there a certain standard, or what was some of the things you did look for in an artist when they came to you?
Just if they did good work.
That's it?
Just, yeah, their work, if they had personal problems, and everybody does.
Yeah.
So I kind of overlooked that.
Sure.
And being the owner and kind of the director, I had all these different personalities to put up with.
Yep.
So I did the best I could.
Yeah.
But the work was the most important. As
Right.
long as you did good work, I could put up with anything else.
Yeah.
Just do the good work and kind of be a little presentable.
Yeah.
Some are, some aren't,
Yeah.
but
It's a tattoo parlor, though.
yeah, right.
That's cool. So did anyone come in that you knew did really good work, and they exceeded all expectations? Like you.
Well, it's no, Because normally it takes years to improve. Now, I pushed a lot of artists to be the best that they could be.
Right.
And I would tell them how to be better.
Okay.
Even if, and I wasn't saying this like I was the best,
Right.
and I would,
Yeah.
but I knew I had it in my head how they could improve.
Yeah.
Even if I couldn't be that good,
Right.
but I wanted them to be, because I knew they had the potential.
Yeah.
And Jason came to me. He's great. He could draw really good, but his tattooing didn't relate to that. It took him time.
Right.
And nowadays, oh my God! I mean, just nowadays, the some of these kids are a couple of years and they're just doing work that you never thought could be done on the skin.
Yeah.
But and I've had a few artists that didn't work out for me, but then they went on and they got better.
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't come back to me, but I congratulated them on getting better.
Right.
And it was always nice to see.
Yeah. So what are some of the differences that you're seeing now? I mean, from back then to when you were tattooing to what artists are doing now. What are some of the differences?
I'm I'm going to Brussels the first week in November. I'm going to get tattooed at a convention there.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to get my hand tattooed.
Okay.
And
that'd be your first hand tattoo.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. So
why? What made you?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, okay. So what made me was I look, Instagram, Facebook, and I see all this work that all I can do is go, wow, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's like they've taken what you might see on canvas and they're putting it on the skin, which is they're real, genuine artists that have mastered this.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, let me get a little piece and get it where I can see it.
Yeah.
Now, it's going to be a kind of a little bit of a shock.
Okay.
Being on my hand. So now he showed me both hands. So what I sent him a picture of my hands, and it comes up to about right there, and so he sends me back a design on this hand and this hand. Both designs kind of what I was looking for, but then when I see them, and that was my first response was, wow. So I said, well, I can't do both hands on this trip because I wouldn't even be able to put my hands in my pocket. So, because your hand's gonna swell up. I know I know mine will.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I'm excited about it. Actually, I haven't been tattooed in a long time. When I got tattooed here from Ed Hardy. So on a Saturday, from my elbow to my wrist, all the way around, he was extremely fast, 4.5 hours.
Wow.
And so I have to come back. So this Saturday, I fly out to San Francisco. So and then I have to go back on Sunday to finish it. So, and when I wake up in the morning, my arm literally looked like Popeye's.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was all swollen up, but it was just the pain wasn't a factor after that. It was just the excitement of having it.
Yeah.
You know, so you kind of overlook the pain a little bit. And I mean, there's no tattoo that you get that doesn't hurt. They all hurt.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, and the older you get, believe me, the more they hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm going to really find that out with my hand.
Yeah.
Which my hand, from what I hear, doesn't feel that good anyway.
Yeah. Well, because you're hitting the bone, right? It's just bouncing
Well,
off the
I
bone.
don't know. I don't know. I hope it's not bouncing.
Yeah.
This guy's pretty good, though. So
Yeah.
he anyway.
How long has it been since your last tattoo?
Oh, I got my mother's portrait in by Freddie Negretti in on Sunset Strip, and that was my last one. And I don't know. It's been a long time. I think it was my last one. I think so.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm thinking it was in the 2000s. Yeah, so it was 2004. Yeah, it was 10 years ago.
Wow. So you're excited about the hand because of
I'm excited. I'm excited about going to this Brussels convention to start with, and then I had been hounding this guy to tattoo me, but I didn't know if he was going to be at the convention or not.
Right.
So I kept in touch, and I would comment on his Instagram. And he had no choice. He had to reply to me.
Like, fine, enough.
Yeah, right.
Tattoo you.
Yeah, he said he'll be there, so he's got me scheduled for the first day of the convention.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
So what are you getting on the hand?
A leopard's face, kind of pissed off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be. Is
there a meaning behind it?
No. It's a jungle out there. No, there's no meaning.
Yeah.
There's, other than my mother's portrait, I have my daughter's portraits on my back. And that had meaning, obviously. Anything else, it was just that I liked it.
Yeah.
My now ex-wife, after I got my daughter's portraits, I got those in '96 at a Tucson, Arizona convention by Jack Rudy. And so she said, "Oh, I want my portrait." So I conceded. I said, "Well, you know what? Against my better judgment, I'll get your name." So I had Jack Rudy. I made and he was working at this place in San Francisco, and he did the name. And since I've had it lasered twice, well,
Sure.
but it's still there. So some years back, my ex saw it, and she said, "See, you just can't get rid of me."
No.
But and I'll probably wind up getting it covered. I don't know if it bothers. If I'm in a relationship again,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't
Like
want to
it.
see
Sure.
another woman's name on me,
Yeah.
then I have my whole back is tattooed anyway, so it won't be a big deal to get it covered up.
Yeah, yeah. So not many tattoos had a lot of meaning behind it. You just enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I was, even as a kid, I have a rose up here that I got in 65. It had no meaning. Underneath it, there was this band. So their name of their band was Love. So I had that, and it was written out really cool. So I had that. Then my dad did it, and he told me, he says, "You're going to regret this." and it's some years later I did, and I had that covered up, just the love part,
Yeah.
But I forget where we were.
Yeah. So what is some of what is your most? Do you have a most memorable tattoo that you given someone else? Like one that sticks up, pops up every once in a while. It's just one you think about.
I don't know that there's one in particular.
Yeah.
There's, I think, many in particular that, when you ask me that, and I start thinking, and I start seeing in my head all these different ones on these different people, and a lot of times, I wouldn't remember a face. People would come in and say I tattooed them whenever, and I wouldn't remember it. But then I would see the design and says, "Yeah, I remember that."
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's always enjoyable. I was in 72, I think. I was in, or it might have been, no, it was more like 75. And I was in Fort Lauderdale. And I was on the beach. And this guy, we bumped into each other somehow, and he had this little tattoo on him, on his arm. It was a Marine Corps tattoo. Where'd you get that? I got it in Oceanside. Yeah, this real young kid did it. I was the only young kid. and that was cool. It's like a small world,
Yeah.
So that was the first time that I saw something years later that I did.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't that many years, but still it was 20 years later.
Wow.
And on the complete opposite coast. So while I've been here, I've had a few times people come in that were tattooed either from my father or from Maurice Lynch, who they worked together. And so like the one that got tattooed from my father, he didn't have any other tattoos. And here he comes walking into my shop, him not knowing who I am. And I put his second tattoo on him. Mm. Now that's a small world.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. And you see that a lot in the tattoo world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you saw from your dad, or something you've taken away from your dad, the way that he tattooed? What's something that...
Working more from my shoulder, not my wrist. So if I'm doing a line coming back like this, not going like that, so I'm able to make a longer, smoother line. And that's just me.
Yeah.
And other than that, as far as technique goes, that was just something that I did unconsciously from watching from a young age.
Right. Huh.
So it was. I had after school, the shop didn't open till 4:00. So, and we were only open from 4 to 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And we only catered to Marines. Very seldom did a civilian come in.
Yeah.
You had to go to Los Angeles. Now in Los Angeles, they tattooed civilians. Now San Diego was more military.
Yeah.
You had the Navy and the Marines.
Yeah.
But Oceanside, which was in between, and there was only so there was Los Angeles, then there was Long Beach, the Pike, and then you had to go maybe 70 miles to Oceanside before you hit another tattoo shop. Then you had to go another 35, 40 miles to San Diego before you hit
wow.
San Diego, actually, I think back then had the most tattoo shops.
Yeah.
I think even more so than I remember than Los Angeles did.
Wow.
I had been to a couple of shops. I remember one on Main Street in Los Angeles that my dad took me to. But, and he was tattooing a guy that was going to go to work for Barnum and Bailey. So he was tattooing from head to toe.
Wow.
And so the artist got so much money, and the guy that was getting tattooed, I think his payment was he had as much to drink as he wanted. Sure. I'm not sure exactly on that story, but there was a bar across the street, I remember, and the tattoo artist was tattooing him daily.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah. So, and he was eventually going to go to work for Barnum and Bailey. But I think now the Pike in Long Beach had some very famous tattooers. I tried to get a job there once, and I was told I didn't have enough tattoos. I needed
on your body?
Yeah, I didn't have. I needed to have. See, what few I had were hidden.
Yeah.
I had just got out of school, so and believe me, my first tattoo, I got my name up on my arm up here, or it's over here, and in the showers at PE. And I caught hell for it. I caught hell from the teachers, the PE teachers.
Oh man!
But the kids, they all wanted.
Yeah. You said after school I can do.
Right. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. That was one of their standards, is that you had to have.
Yeah, I mean, and I could put on a decent tattoo.
Yeah.
And back then, I think everybody's work kind of looked the same. Even Ed Hardy, his first few tattoos I don't know. I see them. I had seen them later, and they didn't look anything special.
Yeah.
But he wound up making them special.
Yes.
He's done more for the trade than anybody really knows. Yeah, he's really been an inspiration to so many.
Yeah.
And he was to me too. Even sitting there getting tattooed from him, I learned something each time, and I would go home and couldn't wait to try it out. He one tattoo on me that he did, and he outlined it with a shader. So it wasn't an outlining needle.
Right.
Like you have tattoos, so you know.
Yeah.
So like the name that you got, that's all done with an outliner.
Right.
But that other one over there is done with a shader.
Right.
You know, the outline and shading.
Yeah.
So he did the whole outline with a shader. And he was just so fast. And it was a pleasure going there and then the stories we could tell each other. And and that's always part of getting tattooed. If you just go get tattooed and there's nothing more than just sitting there getting tattooed. I don't know. I always look for a little bit more. Right. I would go on vacation. But then sitting there getting tattooed from somebody that we can exchange stories and talk and go out to lunch, that was a good time. And that was all part of the experience.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping that this Brussels convention will be kind of. I don't know this guy. I've never met him, and just seen his work online. And but whether there's a connection between me and him or not, I don't know. But I'm going to Brussels, so there's got to be something there. Right. Yeah.
I'm excited to see the picture.
Well, I have
it on. Done.
I have it on my phone.
Oh yeah. This is
well,
cool.
now, bear in mind, I'm hoping that I can get him to it look a little different than the picture that he sent me.
Yeah.
So, but I'll try to find it while you're okay.
So what else did you learn from Ed Hardy that you were excited to go back and implement?
Well, one thing, like going to a convention, a tattoo convention.
Right.
So I would go and then I'd watch.
Right.
And everybody tattooed maybe a little bit different, but and I would just take what I could from it, and I couldn't wait to get back and just go to work again.
Yeah.
And it was an inspiration.
Yeah.
I think more. Now with Hardy, he was so fast that's what, and I like that. Oh, it was nice because you got through the thing quick,
Yeah.
And so I tried to be that way and keep the quality.
Right.
So, and And then I was able to do things, get them done quick. And then sometimes I'd think to myself, geez, I'm doing this too quick. They're going to think I'm charging too much for the time that I'm putting in, but then I'd put extra in it.
Right.
So here, let's put a little background to this. Oh, no problem. So, and that was one way that, because I was giving more than what they thought they were paying for.
Yes.
So that was always good.
Yeah.
Great for business.
Right.
And if I thought that it didn't take me as long as I thought it was going to take me, then when they go to pay me, I'd give them money back.
Wow.
See, it wasn't the money.
Yeah.
And the more I did that, the more customers I got. It's like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What would you tell I know this is kind of switching gears a little bit, but what would you tell someone when they're getting their very first tattoo? What's that conversation with that person that sits down in your chair and they're like,
I'm going to tell you. Most of the time they're scared.
Yeah.
So you just try to make them calm, try to make them relax. What's worse for the tattoo artist is, you do this great job, you think, oh, this is nice. And he gets all done, he gets up and he looks in the mirror. Now, it's his first tattoo, so he's not sure quite how to see this.
Yeah.
So he makes no comment. Or, yeah, that looks okay, but that's not what you want to hear.
Yeah.
But you did a good job. So, but it's just that first tattoo, and they just don't know what to think about it, And then you get the second one, and you tell them, well, I'll see you within a year, and most of the time they're back getting another one.
How often do you see that where someone says, I'm just going to get this one tattoo, I'm not going to get another one, but you see them return? How often do you see
that? It just becomes addicting.
Agreed.
You know that.
Yep. I'm actually in conversation right now to finish a sleeve.
With who?
Actually, American Tattoo Society, the people that
that
you've been talking to.
Yeah.
Yep. Starting to look at them and just kind of going around. I went to the chop shop. He was that was my first.
Well, I'm going to tell you need to check out Jason or Rob. Rob is killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
where is he?
At Tattoo World.
Oh, okay.
So and we have some good artists there. Now, I'm not saying not to go to ATS, because they also do.
Yeah.
So and there's so many good tattooers out there now. It's not like years ago when we were like the only game in town.
What do you think about that? Now that you look at Fayetteville, Hope Mills, there's literally almost a tattoo shop on every corner. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, there's over 60 in Fayetteville.
Yeah.
So I've been here from the beginning.
Yeah.
And but what are you gonna do? It's you just have to step up your game and be a little bit better.
Yeah.
It makes you, wow, I got all this competition out there. I can't just sit back and that's good anyway.
Yeah.
Competition is not bad.
Right.
It actually makes people better.
Yes. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And better for the consumer.
Yep. We win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, if you win if you choose the right artists.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That is exactly right. So, what do you tell the person who is thinking about getting into tattoo? He loves to draw. He or she loves to draw, loves to paint, and now they're starting to think about, maybe I could do this in the tattoo world.
I don't anymore. I don't encourage that.
To go into tattooing?
No. Don't we have enough people tattooing anyway? Mm-hmm. I don't encourage it unless that's what the person, and if it's like if it's somebody I know good, and then I might encourage them. I've apprenticed a few people, and I quit doing that because they wouldn't listen to me. They wouldn't do small tattoos. They all thought they wanted. And then once they do this big once they start it, and it's one thing getting the outline on.
Yeah.
But now they have to shade it. Now they're going to get lost. Every time it happens, they're going to get lost. They don't. And if you don't have the technique and everything, you have to learn. If you're going to be any good at all, you can learn from somebody.
Right.
But I didn't have the patience for it.
Yeah.
I was too busy.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to have to. And I would have to be watching all the time, and I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So, and I've had people, like I said earlier, that came to work for me, and wound up they weren't as good as I probably thought they were.
Right.
So, and they went on to becoming better.
Yeah.
And maybe not with my help. I have helped some people as far as I would, if you show me the pictures, if you're serious and show me what you do, I'm going to tell you whether you got it or not.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, well, okay, so you have possibility. You need to do this different, this and this.
Yeah.
Now, whether they listen to me or not, that, because I've never had too many people just keep coming. And there was a girl in town tattooing, and I didn't think much of her tattoo work, but she was doing it anyway, and I told her, I said, if you show me pictures, I'll help you. But and she showed me a few, but then people don't like to be told. They don't like to hear the negative.
Yeah.
They only want you to give them a pat on the back and say, yes, you did a great job.
Right.
Well, I got tired of doing that.
Yeah.
And so when they would come in for a job, I would say, and if I didn't think they were good, I would say, you need to work on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I would give them the option, and I knew they wouldn't. And I said, I'll help you if you show me pictures. But they wouldn't do it at that point because they would get offended by me not saying something positive because they think they're the greatest.
Sure.
And there's so many of them that do. They can't see the trees through the forest.
Yeah.
And I never understood that.
Yeah.
I've always thought of myself as not being good enough, but always trying to be better.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would surprise myself and do something really nice that I liked. You know, I would give up my own self-critic to myself, you know, and you know, of course other people would say that it looks nice, but I'd always see fault in everything.
Yeah.
So, and I think that only makes you better.
Yeah. I fall into that trap as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. And anybody, I think that's a good way to be in life.
Yeah. Because you're constantly on the search to better.
Yeah.
Constantly on the search to better yourself.
Yes, exactly.
What are some of the mistakes that you see some of the veterans out there doing in the tattoo world?
Mistakes?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. I don't know. Some of them, let's say, my age, been tattooing a long time, and they need to know when to stop, because
that's hard, though.
You know,
You've been doing it for so long.
Well, I know, but now you're not okay. So I had a series of mini strokes.
Okay.
I could not tattoo. I couldn't even sign my name.
Okay.
So I'm practicing on my desk girl, and just giving away stuff.
Right.
Trying to get back into doing it again. And it's hard. On my desk girl, I remember having to do things twice.
Yeah.
And then one time I get the outline done, I start to shade, and I just stopped. I said, listen, I'll just pay. And I did, out of my own pocket. I paid another one of my artists to finish it because I didn't feel comfortable. I wasn't going to be able to do it.
Right.
So, now, after a few years of all this practice, I'm starting to get to a point where I can do certain things and I don't tattoo the chest or the ribs. I've learned that it just doesn't work for me, not anymore.
Gotcha.
Used to be able to tattoo anywhere, do anything.
Yeah.
Well, for the most part. I don't do portraits and never have, or realistic.
Right.
So, I mean, and I've tried a few, and they maybe came out 80% of the way they should have, but it was okay. It was acceptable, but I knew that was not me. And if I had somebody else that worked for me, I would push it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, what do you think separates? What is it? Basically, mediocre to successful. What do you think is that magic thing that people need in order to move from mediocre to successful?
I mean, never thinking that you're just the shit. You're just so good that you don't have anything to learn anymore.
Yeah.
And I think the ones that I mean, there's stuff that is being done nowadays that I'm in awe when I see the pictures of them.
Yeah. I
don't know what makes a person successful in anything is to work and do the best that you can, and always think maybe you can do. I don't care if it's sweeping the floor. Find a way to do it better, and and that, I think, is the best that I can give. I worked in Alaska at a cannery in Kodiak. So I had one job. It was $4 an hour. So they offered me this other job. Now, this other job was going down inside the boat, a shrimp boat. So there's 100,000 pounds of shrimp. You're just standing in it, and they put down a 1,000-pound bucket, and you have to fill this bucket. And they take it up, dump it, down it comes again. So you're doing that all day long.
Yeah.
And so it paid 25 cents an hour more. So you grab a hold of the pitchfork here, and the pitchfork has little dull ends on it.
Yeah.
So it's not damaging the shrimp. And so I took the hardest job, worked longer than anybody had ever worked at that job, for 25 cents an hour more. It was a challenge, and I just had to see how long I could do it.
Yeah.
While I was doing it, there was 2 or 3 other people that were with me that quit. It just, because the pay wasn't there. But this is the early 70s. I mean, you didn't have a skill, so that's what you did.
Yeah.
So I think you do the best job that you can possibly do. And it was like on the Cape, I worked for $4 an hour putting up overhead garage doors with this old man, just me and him. And it was great. I loved it. I got up and, it wasn't always the money. I mean, you have to make a living.
Sure.
But I think now I've been lucky in the tattooing because I found something that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I never take it for granted. And
That's awesome.
Even now I think of how I'm living, and I haven't always been on top of the world. I'm not now, but
yeah.
So I'm voted the best celebrity or whatever that is. But the monetary doesn't come with that title.
Yeah, that's right.
I used to do really good, but it's gone, and for whatever reasons, but I just keep moving forward. What else are you gonna do?
Yeah,
you can't just give up. That's not in most people's DNA. You just, I try not to settle. So if, so many people go to work every day, do the same thing, and they say to themselves, well, it's comfortable. You're in a, you don't take chances. So, and a lot of times in life, it's hard to take a chance.
Yeah.
But the people that do, and they keep trying and don't give up, I think eventually they wind up.
I agree.
Cool.
Yeah, I was talking to someone about this, and that's exactly what ended up coming from this whole conversation, was that, you know, the secret sauce in what they want to accomplish is just don't stop and just don't give up.
Right.
I promise you will make it on top, but that's it. You have to break through all those ceilings and all that uncomfortable moment, but eventually you make it on the other side.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people do that, and that's what keeps so many people, like you said, in that 9 to 5, where it's
right,
because a lot of people just don't want to go through all of that on the other side.
And I was guilty of that.
Yeah.
For a long time. But I've always kind of been a dreamer, so and now I've got the freedom, I think, to explore different things in my life. And, and you know, it's like, if you never try, you'll never know whether you could do it or not.
That's right.
So, a good way to live. I mean, and not always can you do that, though.
Right.
You have to make a living.
Yes.
In the best way that you know how.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I, you know what? When I see these people working 2-3 jobs, young people, I gotta admire them. They're working for minimum wage, but they're out there and they're working. They're not dealing drugs. They might be working at McDonald's, but they're doing it.
Yep.
And
agreed.
I got a lot of respect for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I worked for Denny's restaurant one time for $1 something an hour, washing dishes. Wow.
You miss it.
I've done a lot of things other than the tattooing. But the tattooing had made me the happiest.
Yeah.
And still now, I was just out in California, and I worked at a tattoo shop out there, and mostly I just tattooed the other tattooers, and then there was this young lady. I stopped to get a T-shirt, and a surf shop right there. I was walking, and I see she's got tattoos, and I just say, well, I'm tattooing up the street at the arcade. So if you want, I'll do something for you on the house, no charge. And she took me up on it, and I was just as proud of that as the ones that I got paid for.
Yeah. What'd she get?
I've got a picture of it. She got an old design from probably the 40s.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
And so, and she was, I don't know, 28 years old, but surprised me with the design.
Yeah.
Now this shop, it's a they don't have modern designs out on the walls.
Oh, okay.
They do them. They'll draw them up. People, always bring stuff in, but it's a it's a museum, and it was the guy who built it was doing it after my father's shop. So and he called it the arcade. That's when I was a kid. That's what it was. It was called the arcade.
That's cool.
And so he's got all this flash from that. Now, and I sold him flash that I had from my father. And every tattooer that got tattooed got something off my father's flash that I tattooed them. So they're getting a piece of history.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was cool. And he's I say young guy. He's in his early 40s, but he's old school all the way. He just he's really, he's a cool guy. I was excited to be there tattooing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back. Yeah, I liked it. I'm in my hometown and it's nothing like it was.
Yeah.
But and the weather, oh my God.
Amazing.
Southern California on the coast. Oh, Jesus. I got some sun on me and I felt good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I
wish you guys listening could see this. You need to go to YouTube at Proven by Ruben to see this picture here shortly. And this is the lady.
Okay, so I need to figure out how to separate everything on my pictures, because every time I do this, I have to scroll.
Yeah.
So I will show you. Okay, so this is the little tattoo I put on the girl that I met at the surf shop on the inside
Maria.
of her arm. Well, that's her mother's name. And and that it's a very old design.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I'm not saying I was ever super good, but and even that I see mistakes in it, but the other artists that so this was one that from my dad's flash, so that I did on one of the artists.
Whoa. Oh yeah. How cool was that to do that?
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. They all liked it,
yeah, that's so cool. It's so cool that you're able to do that. You could like you said, put that history on someone else.
Yeah. There's yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
So other than tattoos, what other profession would be fun to attempt?
If I had the skill, I'd love to be a musician.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah. I'd love to be able to play an instrument. I don't even care what instrument it would be. I would just love to be able to play music.
Yeah. Well, you could get yourself a ukulele and go to be on California coast playing a ukulele.
Yeah, right. So here is an old picture of the tattoo shop on Yadkin Road, and it has a picture painted on the front of it that shows me tattooing somebody in a booth type setting. The city made me cover it up. So
why?
Well, I don't know. They have their rules and regulations. See, you just couldn't have it painted on the building that represented what you do.
Really?
Yeah, it was the.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, I know, but it is what it is, and at least I have that memory on my phone. It's cool, huh?
It's great, Miss. There he is. I'm gonna back out just a little bit, and that's the shop. All right, guys, you got to go to YouTube and check out this video so you can see these pictures. That's so cool. That's so odd that. Wow, that's weird. What was that conversation like when they said, "Hey"?
Well, there was no conversation. They said, you know,
yeah. So
it was. I used to have a laser in my shop, and all the other shops were sending their clients, because if you get a sitting or two with the laser, you lighten it up. Now it makes it so much easier to put another tattoo over it. If you had this ugly unwanted tattoo this is, for the most part, what I'm going to get on my hand.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Wow.
So we'll just wait and show that when.
Don't show it.
No,
we won't show it. No, that's fine. Oh yes, I feel good that I'm the only one. That is cool. Wow. Yeah, I'm excited to see the finished.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Gonna be cool. So since I've asked you a ton of questions, what question do you have for me?
For you?
I flipped it. You see how I did that?
Yeah, I see how you did that. You recognized me in the store, and I didn't know who you were.
Yeah,
and it was really flattering that you did, and I met your family,
Mm-hmm.
and if I'm not mistaken, you're expecting?
She was here today. She's actually 5 weeks old.
Oh, you already had baby.
Yeah.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you. During the hurricane.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah. Yeah. So cool. You have a beautiful wife.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
Beautiful kids.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're a lucky man.
Yeah. I know. I feel that way.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. It was cool because I recognized you, and
And I often wonder how people recognize me, because I'll go down hey, Bill. And I, and I'm polite.
Very polite. Yes.
But I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah. You know what's odd is I don't remember where I saw you.
Oh, you've seen me before.
Yeah, and I don't remember where, but I knew that was you. Well, I asked. I said, "Bill, is that Bill Claydon?" And you said, "Yeah," and I was like, "Yes, got it right." But I don't remember where I just knew that was you.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Being voted the best celebrity
comes with its perks.
Yeah, right. But and believe me, I'm always flattered.
Yeah.
When somebody comes up to me and says hello. Used to get that. Me and my my wife at the time, we'd go out to eat and everything. She hated it because people would come up and see me in the restaurant and then they would start talking about a tattoo or something. But I was always flattered by that.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not be?
Right.
I told her, I says, I can't ignore the people. So.
You had your two loves right there. The love of tattoo and then the wife. You had them both fighting for attention. But yeah. So what do you, and I'll finish on this. What would you like your legacy to be here in Fayetteville and across the nation, truly?
Well,
what would you like to be known for?
I did my best.
Did your best.
That I did my best, and I was an honest person. Not the best by no means, but I tried my best. At least at this trade.
Yeah.
And I think at most things I do in my life, I've always tried to do the best I could.
Yeah.
And sometimes it wasn't. I worked alongside other people that were much better than me. And I just have never, I guess my wife said that I got a big head for a while. I didn't really recognize it, but maybe the person that gets the big head doesn't always recognize it. You need that outside source telling you. But, and if I did, and if I ever offended anybody, I am truly sorry. But I just try to be a good person, and so I don't know what else that.
Well, I could say that's all I've seen from you is just a good person, is very genuine. We'll stop to talk, even when stopped in a store.
Yeah.
So I mean, I never saw a big head any day, any time. I mean, you showed nothing. Years ago.
This was my wife saying that.
Right,
so,
right.
So she would see it, and she might have been right, but I've always tried to, if somebody wanted to talk,
yeah,
I would give them my attention.
Yeah.
And I thank you for that.
Yeah.
I thank you for this. This is very. I'm humbled.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I love to hear your story. I mean, I think it's pretty cool, and a lot of people are going to enjoy listening to it as well. So where can the listeners, the viewers, where can they find you, your business on Instagram and so on and so forth? Where can they find you? At like Tattoo World? Or?
Okay, so
yeah.
I'm not there all the time now, but you can make an appointment with me if you want to get a piece of history tattooed on you. I'm at Tattoo World, Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I will work by appointment. Just try not to pick out anything too crazy.
I love it. So, for everyone's listening, if you enjoyed this podcast, download it, subscribe to the Proven by Ruben podcast, and I appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you very much, Ruben.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.